Hello there folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss different topics like spirituality, deeper introspection, dream interpretation, and well, different other topics that people might find not necessarily difficult, but a bit challenging or whatever, or they might need another point of view, because that's what I prefer giving to my videos. Different point of views, different perspectives on certain things, and reminding people that there are other ways they could think and tackle a certain problem. Feel free to ask me questions, and when I feel ready I will actually come up with a video on that, because I always prefer taking my time before I dive into something. Now, the topic of today is a very short video on the idea of sexuality and more like sexual intercourse. So, an idea came to my mind recently and told me, nudged me towards this. And saying it as shortly as possible is having sexual intercourse with as many people, good or bad. Now, we live in a fucked up society. We kind of know this. If people don't know it already, well, hopefully everything that happens will eventually lead to them waking up and starting to realize certain things. Now, the problem with many people is many think that there is this evil force fighting against us and they have to fight against the system, which is very bad, because fighting against something means kind of feeding it, and especially some other beings and parasitic entities and the such, which profit out of your being in lower vibrations, which basically is the substance of this the sustenance, let's say, of this system. The more people stay in lower vibrations, the more this system is fed, although the system has kind of already crumbled. Now, the point about sexuality, and let's not dive into too many things at the same time. Sexuality has been used because it's one of the easiest ways to catch people off guard, especially in Europe, where Christianity has kept everyone for almost 1,000 years in complete submission, and everything was suppressed. And the more you suppress certain things, well, the harder it will be. You create an immense karma through suffering, and karma is nothing else than memory. Now, the point is, nowadays people are feeling even more sexual, and the sexuality that is put in most movies, well, not most, but many movies, many video games, even sexuality which you see around. Okay, it's used also in dummy, unconscious ways. Like, for example, many females and girls like dressing provocatively because they have their own demons to feed. Many people, like even men, they want to dress in ways that are stylish and draw attention, and again they also have other entities to feed. The point about craving attention is that you are not craving that attention. There are things within you that are implanting that sensation within you. Most of your thoughts and emotions aren't even yours. They're just implanted into you to see how you react. And by identifying with those, you accept something within you. Now, I made a recent video about marriage. It's kind of lengthy, I know, but in that video I present the idea of marriage as the creation of a spiritual child, which is a entity. There are some rituals that I don't know if priests know of them, but at an occult level there are certain bonds that are established within the two people. So the point is, those are exactly, that bond is going to be exactly like money, just an amplifier. If those people are negativistic and they don't like themselves, they don't know themselves, this bond will actually amplify their negativity. If those people, they know themselves, or they strive towards a better future, let's say. Now, the point about this is very easy, okay? It's gonna accentuate that part, because money is nothing else than an energy. It is nothing else than exactly what sexuality also is. It is energy. Now, the point with money is it's just an amplifier. If you give money to a jerk, congratulations, most likely you've made a bigger jerk. If you give money to someone who's cautious, and caring towards others, most likely they will do something that will channel their, curiosity towards life and their caring nature. Now, the point about sexuality is that unfortunately sexuality is just looked at as you know, something which is the lowest nature, okay? But if you look at animals, we're kind of even below those because we're abusing sexuality, okay? Animals use their sexuality only when it's, when the time comes for them to breed, okay? They have their own seasons when they do that, either once per year or, well, in some cases probably twice or three times. Now the point about sexuality is, the problem with it is that, well, I need to make a little parenthesis here. So in case you are not knowledgeable, water is a living entity which has its own energy, okay? Water is basically, or it tends more towards female energy. It is an entity in its own, and it correlates emotions, okay? Now anytime you manifest certain things, okay, you manifest fear, or you actually fear it because you don't necessarily manifest it, okay, when you manifest fear, usually the fear is an impulse and you're reacting to it, okay? So when you feel those chills down your body, it's because an attack was caused against you, or not necessarily an attack, but a shockwave was released somewhere, and that shockwave is actually the stimuli which your body understands as something that would cause imbalance, would cause harm, or something like that. And the problem is, if you are in a lower vibration, you will feel those chills because you are in a vibration in which fear can actually be perceived. Now fear will always be perceived, but how you react to it is totally another thing, okay? As long as you don't listen to your fears, okay, the fear doesn't have much power over you. Now it doesn't mean that you should, give up your fears instantly, okay? And fear and lower sexuality, they are very low vibrational, okay? They are vibrating at some of the lowest vibrations, okay? A bit above shame and guilt, which are the lowest ones, if I remember correctly. And now when that fear triggers, okay, when the fear triggers within you, you have those chills inside your body, right? Now those chills, you feel them basically because the water in your body simply reacts to those stimuli, okay? It can create little chills, okay? When you manifest negativity, water in your body may tend to freeze. Of course it won't freeze entirely, but it can create little frostlings, okay? Little bits of more compact forms that can actually hurt a bit your body, of course at a microscopical level, but every time you're angry, you're actually disrupting the balance of your body, and it can actually influence the well-being of your immunity system for even several hours. So given the fact that water has a tremendous amount of memory, okay, one has to also remember that water is a big part of our body, okay? Our body is 70% water. Like, amusingly enough, the planet is also 70% water, or anywhere around that, okay? And the brain initially is around 90% water, and this one usually decreases slowly as someone ages, okay? But the point is that there is a lot of water in our body, and water is part of each and every of our cells. It is a part of the whole body, and this water also carries memory. Where you drink water from, that water also comes with certain memory, and when you drink it, that memory also becomes part of you. So that is why you will most likely experience all sorts of emotions and, well, feelings and thoughts that aren't even yours. And of course it's not just because of drinking water, okay? When someone's, like when you buy your food from the supermarket, it's constantly being bombarded by the thoughts of everyone who has been in touch with it from its creation till the moment you bought it, until the moment you get it home, okay? And even in your family, your kid is angry, your spouse is angry, they're shouting, okay, they're also bombarding that food. When you touch it, or when you are very close to it, you might actually download some thoughts or some things that were attached to it, just because you have a certain vibration. Now the body has even greater memory, okay? Now this is very good to know because the body has much more memory than water can store, okay? And I'm not talking about the mind, I'm talking about memory, the so-called karma. Whatever you do is inscribed somewhere, and every abuse that you do simply opens you up more towards certain types of attacks and the such, and it also leaves you a bit more vulnerable towards certain entities infiltrations, especially mentalities of lack. So every of these thoughts that you create, as I was speaking in previous videos, every time you create a certain idea, it's like you create a deity in your head which you have to sustain with stories, and those stories become the preachers, okay? They become like the priests, okay? You don't have to handle them, okay? Once you created them, once you fed that story enough, which means usually a few times, well, guess what? Now you finally have a temple, okay, that preaches that idea of yours, which most likely is just a belief, which means accepting something without a means for proof, right? Without the necessity for proof, right? That's what accepting something without proof means, a belief. As long you are what you know, right? What you don't know is what you don't know. What you don't know, what you haven't tested in your life, is nothing else than just an illusion. It is just a belief. You can only believe that, or you can dispel it, right? But again, to dispel something, you may still require to know something about that. But if you accept it, it's just a belief. But still, beliefs are powerful, because beliefs are more powerful than your than reality itself, because beliefs will shape your reality, and well, it may end up as being different than the reality which we live in anyways. So the point about life as is, okay, sexuality is from a spiritual standpoint, it's only good when it is practiced with nurturing people, okay, with another person who is nurturing and caring, and it is most preferable to be used sparingly and with as few people as possible, because everyone comes with their own set of memories, okay? So you can imagine that people who have sex with a lot of people, they also gain a lot of their negativity, okay, a lot of their traits, probably past life experiences and the such, and a lot of pain. Usually the more people one has sex with, the more ignorance they can draw in, okay, because only ignorant people have sex with so many people, right? Because in order to live life, okay, you have to do things consciously. Now the problem is, everyone dies, but very few people live. The moment you let circumstances decide for you, and the moment you let things dictate your existence, okay, now that is kind of a little problem, okay, because when you do things unconsciously, you don't know what gave you the hint to do those things, okay? It's not you who decided, okay? So when you suddenly unconsciously decide to I don't know, get laid with a certain person, most likely that person had some of their own demons, and they just wanted to get a hold of you. Not a person itself, but most likely those parasites, because that's how parasites work. They have to contaminate and get the consent of as many beings as possible, and sex is actually one of the ways through which you allow them in, okay? When you manifest sexuality with a person, usually your energy bodies may become somewhat more united, so transference in between these negative memories can also happen, right? And well, sex is not how to call it, an acronym for nothing, which stands for sexual energy transference, or sexual energy exchange, or sexual entity exchange, okay? So every time people have sex with other people, they're bound to get some of these negative thought forms, okay? Especially if sex is done just for the feel, right? Just for that orgasm, just for that dopamine rush, right? So yeah, even masturbation can let someone open, because masturbation occurs from a lack of well, let's say sexual accomplishment, but a lack is a lack, and it is the door that stays open for different entities and thought forms to infiltrate. Now it doesn't mean that they will necessarily do so. Each and every individual has their own levels of protection, but the point is, well, from time to time there will be entities who will hop on for a ride, And most people, if you look at them, the more unconscious they are, the more driven they are by such beings who, they just let them exist in this world. Because if you let beings control you, you're basically allow them to live, right? Of course, this goes very, very deep, but everyone has their own thoughts and ideas. Okay, when sex is done through aggression, okay, through intimidation, through things like that, such, okay, if you know such people, don't, even if they're tempting, okay, even if they're very, very tempting, and that idea of temptiveness, that might come from some sexual demons as well, because where there's pain, there's also a lot of parasitic entities, and I have several videos on that as well. Now the point about this is that it's not gonna be good for you, okay, because the person should start, anyone should start cleansing some of their karma, okay. They should start doing what is called shadow work, okay. Now shadow work means doing the let's say self-forgiveness, okay, forgiving yourself for mistakes you have done, for things that have happened to you, for inappropriate ways you have reacted to certain things, okay, the pain you have done to yourself. And the only sin that exists in this world is ignorance, okay. And nowadays so many people say ignorance is bliss, but the only ones who say that, there are two types of people, right? The corporatist rulers who say ignorance is bliss just because they want to say that, and there are the slaves, the one who just follow unconsciously, okay, and this tells like literally everything about such people, and they just blindly follow, okay, and they say ignorance is bliss, and they kind of enjoy it. They don't understand that everything in this world happens in reverse, because the truth can only be realized. No one can teach the truth. The truth can only be taught, if you're a tyrant, right? That's the only person who teaches the truth, okay. Now you can say I'm teaching my own experiences, or from my own experiences and standpoints. Yes, that is a point, you're teaching your own truth. But if you want to teach the truth in general, well, probably someone needs to take their pills, okay. So all this being said, again, there are so many people who have to learn their lessons again. So don't take everything as something aggressive, something that must be purged or destroyed. Now again, one thing about this idea, and I wrap this video with, is when you say ignorance is bliss, ask yourself one thing, and I've said this in previous videos as well. Ask yourself one thing: whose bliss is that? Okay, because most likely it's not yours. If you look at people who are ignorant, you won't see an ignorant person who is very happy, okay. Ignorance and happiness don't go together, okay. Ignorance means self-abandonment. When you abandon yourself, you can't simply be happy, okay. The only way you can abandon yourself is by becoming one with creation, and you abandon the illusions of what you are, okay. You abandon your personas. Well, that's a wholly different thing, but for that you need to be fully conscious, okay, which is the opposite of unconscious, which is basically ignorance, okay. So hopefully you like the type of content that I'm creating. Feel free to like and subscribe, feel free to follow, feel free to share this with other people, so that we help raise the awareness of other people and the whole world. Feel free to guide people towards my content if you're feeling that it might help people, because the closer you are to certain people, the less inclined they are to listen to you. And well, that's one of the moments when you should know that guiding them towards someone who may help them, at least indirectly, through their videos. And there are a lot of videos about spirituality on YouTube. I'm also creating some, and I'm willing to shake the foundations of the world. So all this being said, you are loved and appreciated. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Have an awesome day. Ferenc Janvor signing out.